Hello everyone, welcome again to Level Change channel. My name is Claudio Fonseca, I'm a real pilot, and today we are going to talk about the flight directors, more specifically when to reset them. So basically I'm going to show you, for the ones that do not know what is the flight director. The flight director is here in the main screen of our airplane. Are these two lines here, the vertical one and the horizontal one, that is used by the pilots and the autopilot to fly the airplane. Basically, we turn the flight directors during the pre-flight, so we have the flight directors available from the beginning of the flight. Once you are airborne, you can start following your flight directors, and most of the approaches you can follow the flight directors all the way to the runway until the point where you start your flare, where you start your landing. But this is not true for every approach. So in simple terms, when do we turn off the flight directors? When we don't want to follow them, when they are giving us wrong or some indications that we don't want to follow. I will give you a very specific example. For example, during visual approaches. So during visual approaches, you are maneuvering around the airport to different headings, and you don't have this set on your FMC, you don't have this set on your autopilot, and you have to freely maneuver around the airport. This even includes your descent towards the runway. So instead of you try to adjust your MCP, your autopilot, for the flight director to match what you need, it's better just to turn off and fly this airplane as you don't have the flight directors. Okay, so this is the first step. This is the first thing you have to understand when you turn them off. So when you don't need them, or when they are giving you wrong indications. I will not say wrong indications, some indications that you don't want to follow, and I will give you another example in a couple of minutes. Most important about this video, so when to reset it, that means when you turn them off and when you turn them on again. You turn them on again anytime you need, but to prevent that you are not going to forget, every time that you turn them off on the 737, you are going to reset them. And this is very important for the missed approach, because if you are doing some sort of a visual approach and then you want to go around, once you press toga, even if the flight directors they are not on, they will pop up on this screen, and you have the flight directors available for you to follow during the missed approach while your mode is toga, take off and go around. But once you get out of this mode, for example, you capture your missed approach altitude, for example, the flight directors will disappear if they were not on before, and I'm going to show you that. That's why when you turn them off, for the reason I told you first, you are going to reset them and not keep them off, so they are like on standby in case you need them again. Okay, so to show you another example where you don't need or you don't want to follow the flight directors, I'm going to show you now the Navigraph. So welcome to beautiful Seychelles. This is the chart for Seychelles. So we have the airport here, and the main thing I want you to realize from this chart, the airport chart here in Seychelles, is the runway heading. So runway 31 has the heading 310, okay, 310 degrees. This is the heading. So if you come here on the approach, you have, for example, the ILS Zulu to runway 31. As you can see, the ILS runway 31 is aligned with the runway heading 310, and you have guidance from your flight director if you are using localizer and glide slope to fly all the way down to the runway, as you can see on this chart here. Another example of a procedure that you can follow the flight directors all the way down to the runway and you don't have to reset the flight directors is the RNP runway 31. This is the RNP AR runway 31 as you can see here on the top, RNP runway 31 AR. Okay, once again, this is on the heading 310, which is aligned to the runway, and as you can see here, it takes you to the point RW31, so or Romeo Whiskey 31, which is the runway 31. So it's taking you all the way from David, Summit, Dallon to the runway 31. Most important, you have the runway 31 here, okay, and you also have a threshold crossing height of 50 feet and the runway elevation is 12, so you have to make sure on your FMC you have runway 31 with the altitude of 61 and the 3-degree glide path going towards this runway, so you can use your flight director all the way through. So I'm going to show you this on my simulator right now. So as we go back to the sim, I'm going to show you in the FMC here that we have runway 31, Romeo Whiskey 31, okay. You have heading 310 to the Romeo Whiskey 31, just on top of Romeo Whiskey 31 you have the heading 310 to Romeo Whiskey 31, is 6.2 miles in a glide path of 2.92, which is basically 3. This is the speed slash your altitude, so you can see here that we have 62 feet, which was the same altitude as we had in the chart. So if you come here on the plan view, and I'm going to really zoom in, I'm going to scroll from all the way to runway 31, and as you can see, we have the magenta line on the approach, and it goes straight to runway 31, and it goes straight down to the runway 31 displaced threshold. Okay, so you can use the flight directors all the way through. You don't have to reset them, just keep it on, turn off your autopilot and complete this approach. Okay, this is the first step, but this video is about to reset the flight director, so I'm going to show you a different procedure here. Now we are back to the Navigraph charts, and I'm going to show you the RNP Yankee runway 31. A little bit different, as you can see, RNP Yankee runway 31. The main difference here is that the final approach course for this one is heading or course 324. As you can see here on the plan 324, we don't have 310, but the runway is still aligned on the heading 310. As you can see, this procedure also starts from David, but it goes to a different point, which is Louis, and then Judy, and then go to Audrey. And from Audrey, you have these arrows here. These arrows, they mean a visual portion of this approach. So you have to visually fly this approach from Audrey to the runway 31. And you do not have your flight directors helping you to do like this, because your approach goes from David, Louis, Judy, Audrey, and then in case you don't see the runway, it has your missed approach when you turn right immediately to fly Tetix. So you don't have this part of the approach. Those arrows, they are not on your FMC. And as you can see here, I show you heading 324, which is not aligned with the runway. Your missed approach is over Audrey, and it does not have a path all the way down to the runway. As you can see, even the arrows, they are leveled off here because you fly this visually. Let's see the difference again for the RNPAR. On the RNPAR, you come here, and even below your DA, you have the sequence of your 3-degree glide path taking you towards the runway. This is represented by this dotted line here. On the RNP Yankee, one more time, you do not have, okay, because this is a visual approach. So let's take this back to the simulator. Okay, so we are now back to the sim, and I'm going to select this second approach. So departure, arrivals in Seychelles, and we are going to select the RNAV Yankee runway 31, also from David, from the same point that we are coming. Okay, so I go to legs, David is set there, and I'm going to show you all these procedures. So we have David, we have Louis, we have Judy, we have Audrey, and I'm going to just give a zoom out here, and as you can see, Audrey is not aligned with the runway. This dashed line, this white dashed line, is the runway alignment. So from Audrey you have to go around. You don't follow this magenta line, because it's not going to take you towards the runway, even though on this navigraph is wrong here, is taking you to the runway. So the approach should be like this. This is the correct approach. The VNAV is disconnected, it's not a big deal, but I'm going to show you all again how this was supposed to be. So this is what you have. Ordering here, and then you have to fly visually towards the runway 31. So what you can do, you can fly it in LNAV and VNAV all the way to Audrey, and then from Audrey, or once you have visual and you're going to start your visual maneuver, you come here and you turn off the flight directors and you turn them on again. Okay, so once you have your missed approach, you finish your missed approach, the flight directors, they will be already on. For this approach, I'm going to fly this approach. I'm going to comply with everything up to Audrey, so you can see me performing this approach. I'm going to turn the flight directors off. Okay, so I'm going to turn the flight directors off, just like I did now, and I'm not going to turn them on, because I'm going to do a missed approach, and you are going to see that the flight directors, they disappear once we level off at missed approach altitude of 4,500 feet. Then we perform a second approach, the same approach, but this time from the east side, and then I do the standard procedure of turning them off, turning them on, and landing on runway 31. Okay, so flight directors on again, and the last step for this approach, I'm just going to check the MDA. Our minimum descent altitude is 960 feet. 960 feet, so I'm going to set here on the minimums 960 feet for both sides. Nine hundred 60, which is even below the altitude that we cross Audrey, which is expected to cross at 1015. If we added the 50 feet for this missed approach, will be 1010, and we can do this because it's an MDA. So we go to 1010, and that is perfect for our approach. Okay, here we go. I'm going to go to the plan again, and I'm going to release the sim. We can take VNAV one more time, and we can start extending the flaps to 1. Goes to legs, this goes to cruise page. Now descent page, that is active. And the next step is 2,500 feet. Now you can listen to the plane as well. So here we are. Remember, this first time we're going to only turn off the flight directors. You will see that you have the flight directors for the missed approach, but you will not have the flight directors once you leveled off including this missed approach. And the second approach, we are going to fly the same one from the other side, and I'm going to complete the landing because I know that you like to see landings around here as well. So now flaps 5, approaching the intermediate fix. The speed reduces to the flaps 5 speed automatically. Final heading for this approach will be 324. Here we are, intercepting the final. Seychelles Island is about to show ahead of us. Yes. This is the runway. You can see the approach lights down there. Continue this approach. I'm just going to check that everything is set here in the overhead panel the way it was supposed to be. It is good for now. So as we approach our final approach fix, we want to be stable to continue this approach. So now gear down, flaps 15, rearm the split brake and the pilot monitoring, turn the engine start switch to continuous. Our minimums of 1100, always rounded up to the nearest 100 above your MDA. Approaching the final approach fix, landing flaps, which is today flaps 30. And we already have flaps 30, 147 and approach 152. We are on the maximum landing weight today. Okay, we can already set our missed approach of 4,500. Note the airplane maintains VNAV path. This is the way it was supposed to be. If you look outside, we are not aligned with the runway. This is the way it was supposed to be, this procedure as well. So now, I'm going to turn off auto throttle. I'm going to turn off autopilot. Note that the flight directors, they are still on. I can still follow the flight directors all the way to the ordering, but not after ordering. So let's assume that now I want to fly visually towards the runway. I want to make a right turn, for example, so I can align with the runway before. As you can see, my flight directors, they don't match again. So as they don't match, I don't want them, I'm turning them off. So flight directors off, and I was supposed to fly visually towards this runway. The problem is, as I'm flying towards this runway, now I'm not stable. Let's say I put a big rate of descent, and I got the message to pull up or sync rate.
Approaching minimums, 1,000 minimums.
completely not stable, so I'm going to go around. So toga, thrust. As you can see, the flight director is there. I can use my LNAV. It's going to give me guidance to turn right. Flaps 15.
Bank angle.
Oops, too much. Positive rate, gear up. And as you can see, I can follow my flight directors towards this missed approach. Okay, the flight directors will always be there once you press toga for the missed approach. Now let's retract flaps to 5. Flight director will continue to give me guidance. Flaps 1. As you can see, flight director still giving me guidance. So I can intercept this missed approach. And flaps up. Note that we are in toga mode, as you can see here, toga mode. Once toga mode disappears, as my flight directors they are off. Oops, let's follow the flight director, like altitude acquiring. The flight directors they are supposed to disappear. I don't really know why they didn't disappear here on the PMDG. As you can see here, they are off. Both flight directors, they are off. This is what you were supposed to have right now. So you have to manually fly this without the flight director. Okay? So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to re-engage the autopilot. So flight directors, they were supposed to be on. I can ask for heading cell or even LNAV now, and level change and autopilot. Auto throttle on, and everything is working now. So let's do the same approach again, the way it was supposed to be. Departure, arrival. Arnav Yankee, runway 31. Now we go from the other side, which is the Gerard transition. And we are going to fly to Gerard. So we are turning right to Gerard. Our cruise altitude 4,500 is okay. Now our descent speed 114 below 10,000, which is okay. For the cruise speed, it doesn't accept, but that's fine. 2014, that's what we are going to maintain. Sorry, 214. So now again towards Gerard. Once again, this approach was not supposed to have the runway 31 there. So from tactics, I can even show you, if you don't do this, how we were going to approach towards runway 31. You can see here is the heading 319, which is completely incorrect. Okay, that's why you were not supposed to follow the flight director there. So for this approach, I just changed my mind. I'm going to keep the flight directors and the autopilot on below the ordering position. So you are going to see that the airplane will turn slightly to the left towards the runway, but will never align completely with the runway. That's why you have, from ordering, you have to turn the flight directors off and fly manually to the right and then to the left to intercept this final approach. So we have everything set, including our speed for flaps 30. Retract the speed brake, gear off, engine start switch, they can stay in continuous, it's okay. So now as we are approaching the initial approach fix, VNAV, speed window open, 215, And once we cross the initial approach fix, I extend the flaps to 1, then 5. Once we turn inbound the final, gear down, flaps 15, and approaching the final approach fix, flaps 30. As you can see now, Seychelles is on our right side. Reset MCP altitude, yes, we are going to do that. 2500 is the intermediate fix altitude. So a couple of things that PMDG didn't do properly. It kept the flight director on even though it was off after we move out of the go around mode. Okay, initial approach fix, flaps 1. As the flap extend towards 1, I'm going to close the speed window. This speed was supposed to be 191. This is because it's still on the cruise. Now flaps 5. Flaps 5 speed. Now we are on the descent mode. I can close the speed intervention now, and it's going to maintain the flaps 5 speed going down. Drag required? I don't think so. I'm just going to cancel this information. PST on the right side for this approach. Okay, we are turning towards the final. Heading is 324. Final approach fix 2500, altitude is already set. So as we turn towards the final, you've been to this position before. Here we go, we are descending towards the final approach fix, so gear down, flaps 15, arm the speed brake, engine start switch, they are already armed. As we approach 2500, we'll have the altitude alert, 900 feet to that altitude, which is right now. Now we can set our minimums 1100. And as you can see here, if we follow after ordering a left turn towards the runway, we are not going to be aligned with the extended runway center line until we are over the runway itself. So what we want actually is to continue on this heading and then intercept the final with only a left turn towards runway 31. That's why we are not going to follow the flight directors anymore. We need to turn them off, because if not, they are going to give us wrong guidance and we can be confused. So we don't want this on our screen, and we reset them because we need them for the missed approach, even though the PMDG is giving flight director all the way through, even if you get out of the toga mode. Okay, I just missed flaps 30, but we still can make it towards motoring.
2500.
Flaps 30, landing checklist at this time. Engine start switch continuous, speed brake armed, landing gear down 3 green, flaps 30 green light, landing checklist complete. So the missed approach 4500. Once again, we are on the VNAV. Okay, so if I had to fly this approach, as I already have the runway inside, as you can see here, we just continue straight ahead and then we make a left turn. We don't do a turn from ordering straight to the runway. That's why we don't follow the flight director, and that's why the autopilot cannot fly this, because the autopilot will be always following the flight director. So if you don't have the right guidance for the flight director, the autopilot will fly it wrong as well. So first auto throttle off. Now autopilot off. So far I'm happy with the flight director because it's taking me towards ordering, so I keep the flight director on. But now as I approach ordering, I have visual with the runway. I'm going to turn off my flight directors because I don't want them anymore, so they are off. And right now the speed was supposed to be 151. Yeah, and I'm going to turn them on. As you can see, flight director is on, but they are not on my display because I'm not following them. So now I'm flying visually. I can maintain this heading. This heading will give me enough margin to intercept the final approach from this point here. Only a left turn. And as you can see, the flight directors, they are not giving me wrong indication.
Flight slow.
Oh, I had my ILS set. This is not a big deal. They are not correct anyway.
100. 50. 30. 20. 10.
Idle reverse. The apron in Seychelles is all the way down, so I'm going to even disconnect my auto brake by now. Auto brake disarm and let it roll pretty much all the way to the end. At 60 knots now, I'm taking out of the reverse, and I'm going to use manual brakes to stop this airplane. And I'm going to stop this airplane right in the middle of the runway here, because going outside I just realized that I have no taxiways here. Yeah, there's no taxiways in Seychelles. This is default scenery. This is supposed to be the main terminal, so we're supposed to have a taxiway here and a taxiway at the end. Okay, but taxi is not the objective of this flight, so I hope you enjoy, and I hope you know how to turn off the flight directors and how to turn them on again for your approach. Okay, so I have a button in my joystick to turn the flight directors off. As you can see, I just press a button, they are both off. I'm going to press the button again, they are both on, and once again both off, both on. The same way I have an button for the auto throttle, okay, to turn them on and off, like off like this, and another click to remove the auto throttle message. I have a button for the autopilot as well. So I have a button for the auto throttle, a button for the autopilot, and a button for the flight director to help me on this approach when I don't want to follow flight director guidance, So I turn them off, and I need them for my missed approach. I turn them on again before I forget. Thank you so much, guys, and see you next time. Bye bye.